The Forest That Forgot Your Name. A healing bedtime story for grown-ups. Welcome to Healing with Misco, a gentle space where stories breathe, thoughts quiet down, and your soul finds rest. Welcome to this special time just for you. Before we begin, allow your body to fully relax. Turn off electronic devices or switch them to airplane mode. Gently adjust your blanket and pillows, choosing the most comfortable position. You may place a small pillow under your knees or beside your hips to relieve pressure. If you have a warm cup of water, take a gentle sip. Now then, take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Tonight, there's nothing you need to do. You are safe, gently guided by Misco into deep sleep. Imagine yourself lying on a soft cloud. All your burdens begin to melt away, bit by bit. Inhale, bringing in a soft, gentle light. Exhale, releasing every thought that's been wearing you down. If a stubborn thought still lingers nearby, we'll let it drift away with a gentle breeze. The path between waking and letting go. It was the kind of evening where the sky seemed to breathe, slowly and with grace. You stood alone on the edge of the old path, a ribbon of soil curling gently into the forest's edge. You didn't remember how you got there. Not really. There had been noise before, voices perhaps, a list of things unfinished, a phone screen still glowing in your pocket. But none of that seemed important now. All you knew was the softness of moss beneath your feet, the hush of leaves above your head, and the feeling, quiet but certain, that this forest did not ask for your name. The trees rose high and gentle, their trunks silvered with age and peace. Their leaves shimmered with soft green sighs, and between them shafts of golden light filtered in, like whispers from a world just waking. You took your first step, and the forest welcomed you, not with fanfare, but with acceptance, as if it had been waiting for you to arrive. With every footfall, something loosened in you. A memory, perhaps, one you didn't need to carry anymore. The sound of your name faded like a feather lost in wind, and the forest forgot it too. Not cruelly, but kindly, as if saying, you can rest here without the weight of who you think you must be. You walked deeper. The further you went, the lighter you became. No mirrors, no clocks, no voices reminding you of roles to play. Just you and the green world. And then a small wooden sign appeared, barely nailed to a tree. It read, "Welcome to the forest that forgot your name." Beneath it, in smaller letters, "You may forget too if your heart is ready." Pause. You smiled, not because you understood, but because you didn't need to. And with that, your journey inward began. The gentle unraveling. The forest welcomed you deeper, not with signs or commands, but with silence, the kind that doesn't press in, it invites. You followed the path as it curved like a slow breath through the trees. Each step felt like an act of release. With every breath, your shoulders dropped just a little lower. It wasn't just walking. It was a guided letting go meditation, written not in words, but in shadows and birdsong. You began to notice how the air moved around you, like a slow voice sleep narration from the earth itself. The leaves didn't rustle, they whispered. And somewhere deep within, your heart began to echo the forest's calm. Breathe in. Hold for a count of 2. Slow breath out, like the wind through trees. This was more than a walk. It was a mindfulness bedtime story, told by stillness, designed to bring you back to yourself. Not the busy version of you, not the overthinking, anxious, what-if version, but the real you, the one who exists beneath the noise. You paused near a circle of mossy stones. Something about them felt sacred, like a space meant for nighttime reflection. So you sat, and the moment you did, it was as if the forest sighed with you. Soft breath in, long, slow exhale. Your thoughts, once racing, slowed. You didn't even try to quiet them. They just drifted, like clouds that no longer needed to prove they were storms. This, you realized, was what it meant to unwind your mind. The ground beneath you hummed as if it had always known how to hold things that felt too heavy. The soft unfolding. Inhale slowly. Hold for a heartbeat. Exhale longer, softer. Time softened. It wasn't night yet, but the light had turned warm and low, as though the sun had taken off its crown and settled beside you. You were still sitting in the circle of mossy stones, your breath finally syncing with the rhythm of the earth. In that stillness, you felt something stir within. Not a thought, but a feeling. A quiet sadness, the kind you never had time to feel, because life had always been so full. But here, there was space. There was time for emotional release at night. Breathe in. Breathe out, slow, forgiving. Tears didn't come like storms. They came like dew. Soft, silent, and necessary. The forest didn't ask questions. It only listened. And in doing so, it helped you listen too. This wasn't just any forest. This was a bedtime story for anxious minds, written in bark and breeze, designed to ease what your heart held too tightly. You felt your breath deepen, not because someone told you to, but because it finally could. Inhale, let your belly rise. Exhale, let it fall completely. The worries that used to loop in your mind, what if I forgot? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? Began to dissolve. You were learning how to stop overthinking at night without even trying. The trees held no opinions. The moss asked nothing of you. You simply existed. And for once, that was enough. You rose again when your body was ready, not rushed, not pushed. And the moment your feet touched the path, it was as if the forest adjusted itself to your new calm. This, you realized, was a calming sleep story in motion. A place where every step was a prayer for peace. Where every pause was stress relief before sleep. Where the earth itself became your gentle narrator. A soft-spoken sleep talk-down crafted by wind, water, and wonder. Inhale deeply, softly. Exhale long and slow. You walked, though it felt more like gliding. The earth beneath your feet was soft, as though the forest had laid a carpet of moss just for you. There were no sharp stones, no tangled roots, only gentle turns, and the feeling of being carried by something ancient and kind. You weren't trying to get anywhere. The forest had no destination. It was a place where time dissolved into presence. And presence, you realized, was the greatest gift. Inhale deeply. Let the air expand inside your chest. Breathe out, like a soft wave retreating to sea. Something inside you finally quieted. It wasn't dramatic. It was peaceful, like someone placing a warm hand on your back and saying, "You're allowed to rest now." You reached a clearing where fireflies moved in slow circles, not hurried, not random, like they too were part of a peaceful night routine designed just for you. The trees here leaned inward, their branches forming a loose canopy above, filtering the softening light. You lay down in the grass, not because you were tired, but because the earth asked nothing of you except presence. The clouds drifted slowly above. Thoughts no longer stuck. They simply passed, each one greeted with breath, and then released, like feathers caught on the breeze. This is what it means, you thought, to experience inner peace before bed, not by fighting for it, not by chasing stillness, but by allowing it. Inhale gently. Exhale completely. Let go. The breeze cooled. The forest darkened slightly, but not in fear, in comfort, as though everything was preparing for sacred rest, for a kind of deep sleep meditation, not of the mind, but of the soul. You weren't falling asleep. You were returning to the part of yourself that had never truly left. The part beneath your name, beneath all roles, beneath everything you thought you had to be. And in that moment, wrapped in earth and quiet, you understood. The forest didn't forget your name to be cruel. It forgot your name so you could remember who you are beneath it. Inhale softly, deeply. Hold gently. Exhale slowly. Release tension. The stars were beginning to form above, like small, quiet thoughts slowly appearing in a still mind. You were no longer moving. You had settled into a soft cradle of earth and air, where even your thoughts had grown gentle. There was no rush, no need to go back to anything, because here there was nowhere else to be. Breathe in. Unclench your jaw, your hands, your heart. Breathe out, longer, softer. You had entered what the forest called the letting go place. It wasn't marked by signs or gates or paths. It was simply a moment, a state, a whisper of surrender. This was more than rest. This was a guided letting go meditation, held by wind, witnessed by the trees. There was no script, no guru, just breath and the permission to release. Inhale, feel your chest rise like a leaf on a breeze. Exhale, feel it fall, emptying fully. You felt every label begin to fall away. Student, worker, parent, child, strong, tired, broken, enough, all of it, melting like morning mist on moss. You were unwinding, not in pieces, but in peace. Unwind your mind, the forest whispered, not in words, but in the way leaves flutter when no one's watching. Let go of the shape you thought you had to hold. Let go of the noise that tells you who to be. Let go of even letting go. The wind wrapped around you like a familiar lullaby, and in that embrace, your breathing slowed to match the pulse of the forest. This was no longer a story being told to you. It was a slow voice sleep narration unfolding from within you. A bedtime story you had always known, but forgotten until now. You were no longer the character. You were the quiet behind the story. You were the space that held the voice, that softened the world before sleep. Inhale very gently. Hold just a moment. Exhale. Let it fade like mist. You were still there, but the edges had softened. You could no longer tell where the forest ended and you began. Your thoughts had quieted, like ripples settling into a calm, dark lake. No struggle, no solving, only presence, only this. Bedtime story for anxious minds, whispered by the stars. Breathe in slowly, like you're filling a lantern. Breathe out, feel your body grow lighter. You sensed yourself dissolving, not in fear, but in freedom. There was nothing to hold, nothing to prove. Even the ache of the day had softened like a memory kissed by moonlight. And your heart began to open, not to anyone, not to anything, but to this sacred stillness that holds all things without asking them to change. Your name? Still gone. But it didn't matter, because in this moment you had become something older than any name, something deeper than any role, something softer than identity, and stronger than thought. Inhale like the ocean pulling in the tide. Exhale like the tide retreating into night. Your breath was now the breath of the trees. Your stillness mirrored the moon. And your heart, no longer racing, no longer clenching, had joined the rhythm of this great forest that forgot your name, so you could remember what had always been true, that you are not broken, that you were never too much, that you are not your past, your mistakes, your tiredness, or your worries. You are this peace, this breath, this moment that asks for nothing except your being. Now, let your mind float, untethered. Let it settle into this final exhale and disappear into a place where sleep begins and names no longer matter. Breathe in like the hush of falling stars. Breathe out like a lullaby with no end. If your mind feels a little quieter now, if your heart feels just a little lighter, then this story has done its gentle work. Thank you for spending this peaceful moment with me and with yourself. Inhale slowly, exhale softly. If you'd like more stories like this to help you unwind your mind, ease your racing thoughts, and fall gently into sleep, you're warmly invited to subscribe to this channel. Let's keep walking this soft path together, one story at a time, toward stillness and sleep. Good night.